Alright, everyone. Football season is back, finally. I apologize for the longer than usual wait on my end. Usually I'm pretty good about getting these videos up around early August, but been on vacation. I got married last month. I had a honeymoon, so a lot's gone on for me over the last about 35 days or so. Here I am, first day back from vacation in the Adirondacks. It was a fun week, I should say. And it's football time. Now, this year's, I'm going to try to keep as close as I can to accurate. I'm still very familiar with all the teams and everything going on, but my job recently has been not tough, but demanding and different. So forgive me if some of my videos are on weird days or I have some weird schedules. So, without further ado, let's get to it. We're going to start in the AFC North. Fourth place team in the AFC North, I have the Cincinnati Bengals at 4-12. Andy Dalton's still their quarterback. Hugh Jackson's still their head coach. That should come close to summing most of this up. I mean, the Bengals a couple years ago, I remember when they were, 9-1. Andy Dalton went down with injury. Ever since that injury, the Bengals have never been the same. And this season is going to be, I think, very difficult for them. They have talent all over the field, that's for sure. But when I see the Bengals and I see the matchups and I see that they got to play the Ravens twice a year, the Steelers twice a year, what division do they play? I believe they play the NFC South. So even then, they're getting the Panthers, the Falcons, the Saints. The Bengals, I just think, are going to have a tough year. They're in for a pretty tough year. I also believe they get the AFC West. That's not even going to be easy. You got Kansas City, Oakland, the Chargers. This is not going to be an easy year for the Bengals, and I think they end up 4-12. Next up, I'm going to show Cleveland a little bit of respect out of the basement. Third place in the AFC North with a 6-10 record, and let me tell you, most Browns fans will take that and run with it, because that is 6 times more wins than they've had the last 2 years combined. So the Cleveland Browns have Tyrod Taylor, they have Jarvis Landry now. Those are 2, I think, huge additions to their offense. I've talked to a lot of Bills fans, because I'm up here in Bills country, and they laugh when I tell them that the Browns quarterback situation's pretty good now. I know some Bills fans up here that are not fond of Tyrod Taylor whatsoever. Well, let me tell you this. Tyrod Taylor, as sad as this is to say, is probably the best quarterback the Cleveland Browns have had in the last 2 decades. Let that sink in. Let me say that again. Tyrod Taylor is the best quarterback the Browns have ever had over the last 2 decades. That just goes to show you how bad these Cleveland quarterbacks are. And I'm not going as far as to say Tyrod Taylor's bad. He's cautious. He's not going to make mistakes. He's not a risk taker. He'll win you a couple ball games here and there, but he's not going to put the team on the back and drive for the win. That's just not the type of quarterback he is. But he's a good bridge the gap for Baker Mayfield before he comes in and takes over that starting job, because that's inevitable. It's going to happen at some point. I figured 6-10 is a good starting point for Cleveland. Hugh keeps his job. They get a little more expectations next year, and we'll see what happens. I've heard some people believe that Cleveland could be a possible dark horse wildcard contender. If they sign Dez Bryant, they got talent all over that offense. They got talent all over that defense. It would not shock me. But the thing with Cleveland right now, their lack of experience as a team, and just I feel like their aura. I mean, they're the Cleveland Browns. They gotta shake off that aura. Next, second place team in the AFC North, the Baltimore Ravens. I have them going 9-7. However, I have them starting very slow. Let me scroll through what I got here. Shout out to Matt Combs here. Week 1, I have them winning, so I have them starting 1-0. They beat the Bills. I have them actually losing to the Bengals away at Cincy in Week 2, so 1-1. Week 3, they get Denver. I think they win that, so 2-1. Week 4, they're at Steelers. I think that'll be a loss, so now we're at 2-2. Week 5, I have them losing to Cleveland. Then Cleveland steals one from them, so now they're 2-3. Week 6, I have them losing on the road to Tennessee, so 2-4. And then I have them losing at home to the New Orleans Saints coming off a bye. So I have the Ravens starting 2-5, but I have them going on a tear the rest of the year. Their schedule thoroughly settles down after that with games against teams like and they even get the Panthers. I have them beating the Panthers the week after, and I have them beating the Steelers the week after. So I have them getting some pretty decent wins under their belt over the course of the season. But based on how my predictions played out, that's not enough for them to make the playoffs. First place team in the AFC North, little to the surprise of anyone, Pittsburgh Steelers. I have them going 12-4, and I have them as the 2 seed in the AFC. The Steelers are mainstays. As long as Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, and I gotta throw Juju's name in there too. As long as those 4 players are on offense, the Steelers are just going to be extremely difficult to stop. That's just the reality of it. They have arguably the best receiver, and arguably the best running back, and a Hall of Fame quarterback, and arguably one of the most promising young wide receivers on their team. And they're all suiting up for the black and gold. So, I mean, that's dangerous. And that alone has to be accounted for. Just even forgetting about the defense, this Steelers team can outscore anyone. So that's the predictions that I have for the AFC North. We're going to move on to the South. Oh my God, the South is a mess. 4th place team, probably to the surprise of no one, I have the Indianapolis Colts, but I don't have them doing that badly. I have them as a 4th place team with a 7-9 record. The Colts will get Andrew Luck back, and he'll be good. Andrew Luck alone is good for 5 wins alone. I mean, let's be real. Now, the question is whether or not Andrew Luck will be the same quarterback he was before injury. Preseason isn't going to tell us anything. I'm sorry, I know I'm yawning every other sentence, but I'm exhausted. Andrew Luck, very good quarterback. Will he be the same? That is yet to be seen. For all we know, the Colts can go on a tear and win the South, or they could be bottom feeders in the AFC South. We have no idea. This team is a big question mark coming into this season. They could be extraordinary. They could disappoint. Your 3rd place team in the AFC South and narrowly missing the playoffs, the Jacksonville Jaguars. There, I said it. The Jaguars will miss the playoffs this year. Set myself up for this one. Listen, no disrespect to any Jacksonville fans out there who watch this, or I'm not taking away anything that I accomplished last season. They had a very good season last year. But 9-7 for the Jags, missing the playoffs. That is the case that I have right here for them. The Jaguars got, in some ways, pretty damn lucky last year. They went 4-0 in the AFC South against the likes of Tom Savage and Jacoby Brissett. Guess what? Tom Savage and Jacoby Brissett ain't playing this year. It's going to be Andrew Luck and Deshaun Watson, 2 major quarterback upgrades at those positions. So, let alone, you take the fact that in the regular season last year, the Jaguars finished 10-6, 4-0 against those 2 quarterbacks alone. So they went 6-6 in all other games. That's average, people. That is average. Throw in the fact that this Jacksonville Jaguars team played the Browns, who were winless. And they played what I believe were the 32nd and the 31st ranked offenses in the league, the Ravens and the Bengals. Don't hold me to that statistic. That's something that I saw at some point in like week 10 or 11 or something. I could be completely incorrect, but all I know is that the Bengals and the Ravens offenses were trash last year. Can't take away the wins against the Steelers last year. Those were impressive. But 5, 6, 7 of the Jaguars' 10 wins last year came against Jacoby Brissett, Tom Savage, the Browns, Bengals, and Ravens. What else can I throw in there? Who else did they play? I can't even say anyone in the West because they lost to Blaine Gabbert and the Cardinals. They lost to Colin Kaepernick and the Niners. They had a good win against Seattle. And then they lost to the Rams. The Chargers gift-wrapped the game to them last year because they couldn't handle the football. And the Jets even beat the Jags. So, listen. The Jaguars play a first-place schedule this year. They're not playing no scrubs anymore. They get to play the Steelers, the Patriots, and Kansas City. It's not going to be easy, people. And the Jaguars, they're not going to sneak up on people like they did last year. Last year they were able to sneak up on a lot of teams, and they're not going to be able to do that this year, especially with the quarterbacks coming back healthy in the AFC South. So I have them at what I think is a generous 9-7. I have no idea why people have this team going 13-3. No clue whatsoever. Look, Blake Bortles is their quarterback. They have no wide receivers on that team. They have no one. They have a good running back, a good line, and a great defense. I'm not going to lie. Great defense. And I know defense wins championships, but Blake Bortles is throwing to guys that I have to look up on Google right now that I'm actually going to do. Who are the Jaguars wide receivers? And this should concern you, Jacksonville fans. This should concern you. You're talking Dante Moncrief, Keenan Cole, Marquise Lee, Dede Westbrook. Do I hear any all-pro names there? If I'm seeing this correctly, Marquise Lee and Dante Moncrief are their top 2 receivers? Are you shitting me? I mean, this just... Poor Blake Bortles has no one to throw the ball to. I mean, 9-7. That is my prediction. I'm sticking to that. Jacksonville, 9-7. Your second place team in the AFC South and your 6th seed in the playoffs, I have my Tennessee Titans going 10-6. Now, everyone, and this drives me crazy. I've mentioned this on some pages too. Everyone's so quick to point out, oh, the Jaguars defense. Oh, Deshaun Watson comes back. The Texans will be great. Everyone forgets about the Titans. Every article I read, everywhere I see, people overlooking this team like they accomplished nothing last year when they made it to the divisional round of the playoffs. You can't discount this team. You just can't. The secondary looks solid now. You got Adoree Jackson. You got Logan Ryan. They were able to get Malcolm Butler, and they have Kevin Byard, and they just went out and they got Kenny Vaccaro because of an injury, which the fact that Kenny Vaccaro was even still a free agent, kind of mind-boggling. But, I mean, Tennessee even went and picked up Dion Lewis with Derrick Henry. There is a question mark at receiver. Will Corey Davis live up to his billing as the 5th overall pick in the draft 2 years ago? Listen, I can say it until I'm blue in the face. This is probably one of the most forgotten about teams in the league. And guess what? One of the most underrated signings that the Tennessee Titans had, offensive coordinator Matt LaFleur. Guess where this guy's been? 2 years ago, he was the Falcons quarterback coach. What did the Falcons do 2 years ago, other than blow a 28-3 lead? They had Matt Ryan. He was an MVP that year, and this guy was the quarterback's coach for Matt Ryan. Okay, all right. Fair point. What did he do the next year? Oh, he went to the Los Angeles Rams, and he turned that offense to the best in the league. That's right. He took an offense that was ranked 32nd or 31st in the league and ended up giving them the #1 offense in the league. Over a 1-year turnaround, Matt LaFleur took Jared Goff's numbers, and Jared Goff, I believe, was 5 touchdowns, 7 picks in 2016, 28 touchdowns, 7 picks last year. And I was taking over Marcus Mariota with these running backs and this offensive line and Delaney Walker. Are you kidding me? This is one of the most underrated signings of the entire offseason. Matt LaFleur as offensive coordinator. Are you kidding me? I mean, yeah, I'll take this guy over Terry Robisky. Yeah, I'll take this guy over Terry. Let's run the ball up the middle every other play, Robisky. Because I went on so many tangents last year on my videos were based off of Tennessee. I know this team. And I'm telling you guys, watch out for this team. Because if they start rolling the right way, you never know. That's also pending injuries. Injuries can completely derail their season or any team season for that matter. But the Tennessee Titans are not to be taken lightly this year, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let the stars blind you. Speaking of stars, I have the Texans coming in first place in the AFC South. I'm not comfortable with this, only because Deshaun Watson, he's injury prone. It's 2 ACL injuries now, and I'm rooting for the kid, trust me. This is saying he stays healthy this year. I have the Texans as the 4 seed in the playoffs at 11-5. The Texans are they're probably the most top-heavy team in the league. They lose 2 or 3 of their top players, they go from Super Bowl contender to bottom dweller in a matter of seconds. I mean, Deshaun Watson, I know he was only 3-3 as a starter last season, but let's be fair too. Deshaun Watson will not have the same type of success that he had last season. He'll regress to the mean. He's still going to be a very, very good quarterback in this league, I think, and I hope. But to think that he'll have the same success he had over 6 games last year is silly. But I still have the Texans winning the division. Next up, we go to the AFC East. Oh man, can anyone challenge this Patriots? I'll just run them off for you. Jets 3-13, Bills 3-13, Dolphins 5-11, Patriots 13-3. The Dolphins, if anything, can give the Patriots at least somewhat of a kind of challenge, but even still, all 3 of these teams other than New England are garbage. There's potential there. They're too young. The Jets and Bills just got rookie quarterbacks. The Miami Dolphins got rid of almost all the players. Yes, they get Tannehill back, which will be the reason the Miami Dolphins win more games. But the Bills dumped their roster. The Jets essentially dumped their roster. These are going to be rebuilding years for both of these teams, and it'll take some time. The Patriots I have going 13-3, and I have them as the 1 seed. Does that surprise you? It shouldn't. Next division, and the last division I'll do for this. How many minutes am I at? 18. Yeah, that's on par with how long my videos usually are. AFC West. 4th place, I have your Denver Broncos at 4-12. Case Keenum, I like him, but Denver needs to show me something. They fell flat on their asses last year, and I know quarterback play was a lot to blame for that, and Case Keenum can salvage that a little bit. But the problem with doing these predictions right now is that there's too many question marks all over the league. There are nothing but question marks. Let me run through them. Question marks. How will Lamar Jackson push Joe Flacco? How many more games will the Browns win now that they have a quarterback who started in the playoffs last year? Can Deshaun Watson stay healthy? Can Blake Bortles elevate his game? How will Andrew Luck look this year? Will Ryan Tannehill's return have any kind of impact? Will Buffalo or the Jets rookie quarterbacks do anything? Can the Chargers stay healthy? Can the Denver Broncos and Case Keenum make something happen out of a dead season? Is Patrick Mahomes the answer? And can Chucky revive the Raiders? There are too many unknowns, too many questions now to make any kind of intelligent judgments. Let's face it, the predictions this year, I'm literally straight pulling out of my ass. I've done my research on these teams, but you just don't know with a lot of them. You can't. It's not like going into a season where you look at this team has the same quarterback. I feel like there are so many quarterback changes this year. How many quarterback changes in the AFC alone do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, if you include Deshaun Watson. 8. 8 of these teams in the AFC will have a different quarterback this year than last year. Those teams are the Broncos, the Chiefs, the Jets, the Bills, the Dolphins, the Colts, the Texans, and the Browns. We have no idea. I have no idea. It's not. And now, back off of that tangent, Kansas City, speak of the devil. I have them going 7-9 for the one reason that I'm just not sold on Patrick Mahomes. He showed me one game. That's all I have to go off of Patrick Mahomes. And this is a hunch. Kansas City, I have them going 7-9. I think they were dumb to get rid of Alex Smith because he was not the reason they lost that playoff game. He did his job. They lost that playoff game to Tennessee because of game planning and play calling. That's what cost them the game. And a very fortunate series of calls that went Tennessee's way that should not have gone Tennessee's way. Now, second place in the AFC West, and your 5th seed in the AFC Playoffs, the Oakland Raiders. Yes, I have the Raiders returning to the playoffs. 10-6 record. I believe Derek Carr will elevate his game this season, unlike he was able to unlike last year, unfortunately. The Raiders will be back. They'll be 10-6. They'll be respectable, but they'll be right there. So I have the Raiders 10-6 as your 5 seed, and your first place team in the AFC West, I have the Los Angeles Chargers going 11-5, and I have them as your 3 seed. This is a very good team if they can only stay healthy. This has been their problem for seasons and seasons. So if they can stay healthy, this is a team people forget. They went on a tear. They won 9 of the last 12 games. Honestly, this is a team that was this close to making the playoffs. They needed a lot to go right week 17 because their first 4 weeks last year were just completely unlucky. Let's see. A couple of those games go differently. Chargers 2017. No, that's the preseason. I don't care about the preseason. Why are they showing me? Alright, there we go. They lost to the Broncos on a game-winning field goal. They lost to the Dolphins on a game-winning field goal. And they lost to Philadelphia very close. They lost to the Jaguars in overtime on a game-winning field goal. I mean, this is a team that lost a lot of games by game-winning field goals. Denver, Miami, Jacksonville. Those 3 games go differently. And this is a 12-4 Chargers team. They have a lot of talent, and they have Phillip Rivers throwing the ball. I think 11-5 is not even generous enough. This is a team that has ridiculous potential, but the big question mark on this team is their health. Can they stay healthy? Those are my predictions. Let's go to the playoffs. First game, I have the Raiders at the Texans. I have Oakland taking that game from Houston. It's a rematch of the playoffs in 2016 when the Raiders traveled to Houston to play the Texans then. The only difference is this game, the Raiders, I project, will have Derek Carr. And the Raiders should be able to take care of the Texans. Deshaun Watson will give them fits, but it's the playoffs. You never know. Next game, I have the Titans at the Chargers. I have the Chargers winning this game against Tennessee in a close game. Should be a good game, but Phillip Rivers and that team, they'll be rolling at this point, and I think the Chargers will take it. Divisional round, I have the Chargers at the Steelers. I have the Chargers winning this game too. The Chargers will beat, I believe, will beat the Steelers. Pittsburgh, for some reason, they just can't do jack in the playoffs. They're so good every year. They're such a good regular season team. They get to the playoffs and they can't do it. Raiders at Patriots. I have the Patriots winning this game. This is a Tuck Rule rematch. That would be a fun game to watch. With John Gruden on the sideline, too. Can you imagine? John Gruden going up against Bill Belichick in the playoffs? It's almost like it's 2001 all over again. But the Patriots, I believe, win this game. And that leads me to the conference championship games. And I can't believe I'm saying this. But the only reason, and you'll understand this when I come out with my NFC video too. You'll understand why I'm picking this team. I'm picking the Chargers to go to the Super Bowl. I think they'll go into New England. I think they'll beat the Patriots. This is a gutsy prediction on my end. I've made my fair share of gutsy predictions in the past. This is up there with them. I think the Chargers will represent the AFC in Super Bowl 53. That is my video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. Power rankings will be released soon, and I'll be seeing you guys next time. My NFC video will be released at some point before the season starts. Depends on when I have time. But thanks for watching.